How's it, guys? Welcome back to SoccerBeat. It's your host, Mike Morton. We have a great guest with us today, the man behind the numbers, the man behind Opta Jabu, who we all follow on Twitter, on X. If you aren't, you're missing a beat in South African football. This man breaks down all the data in South African football, wipes off all the history books, and tells us exactly what's going on in South African football. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks, Mike. It's a pleasure. It's really an exciting time to be with you.
Yeah, shot, man. Can you just introduce yourself? Tell the audience a little bit about Opta Jabu, about what you guys do, and all the data that you guys offer to South African football fans.
Absolutely. Opta Jabu is part of a sports content, sports content setup that creates mostly statistical content. We have Opta Jabu on account. We have Ladum Analytics as well. And we're a team that really is passionate about soccer, passionate about numbers, filled with sports scientists. There's a sports scientist on the team. There's an accountant on the team. I studied accounting myself. We have a couple of guys who advise us as well, ranging from people that studied pharmacy to insurance. Basically, they're just friends who have encouraged us along the way. And so we offer stats from historical data, 96, 97, match sheet data. So basically, games played, when they happened, the date, who scored, what time they scored. And then in the last few years, also for the deeper event data, your passes, tackles, interceptions, and so forth.
Yeah. If you're a South African football fan and you're not subscribed to their newsletter, you're missing a trick, because it comes out, I think, almost weekly. And some of the stuff that they put in there is incredible information. And I think it's almost a necessity if you're a South African football fan. But the main reason we brought this on today, and this is hopefully going to become a regular feature on SoccerBeat going forward, in the main talking point we have today is the top goal scorer in South African history. Currently, Siyabonga Nomvethe has held this record for a very, very long time. But hot on the heels, Peter Shalulile, and a little bit further back, Brad Grobler as well. But there's been a little bit of controversy of late. Nobody really knows what number they were chasing. For a long time, everyone thought Nomvethe was on 123 goals, but the guys at Opta Jabu tell us otherwise. Can you tell us exactly what happened when you started to dive into the numbers a little bit?
Sure, absolutely, Mike. So I think what happened was it's been widely accepted. Even we accepted that Nomvethe scored 123 goals. So because that record was so far away, we didn't really bother checking, and we thought maybe no one will ever reach that record. After all, he set that record maybe 7 years ago. I think that's the last time that he played. When Peter Shalulile and Bradley Grobler started approaching the record, then it became a matter of, okay, let's really reconcile this, because if he breaks the record, then we'll have to say what are all the numbers. In fact, so what we do, we get a lot of requests from media, from fans, from fan channels as well, who ask, the question that they were asking mostly was, how many games has it taken Shalulile to reach 100 goals? Is he the fastest to reach 100 goals? So that's where some of the digging started. And then while we're doing that, we discovered that, you know what, maybe...
Hold on, what's the answer to that question? Is he the fastest to 100 goals?
Shalulile, among the guys who scored 100, he is the fastest to 100 goals. I don't have the number exactly here, but he is by a bit of a distance. If he gets to 129, which is the record that we're going to talk about, I think if he does it in the next 50 games or so, he'll still be fine. He'll be the fastest to get to that figure. Obviously, he will just be the second. So Shalulile he's been at a very rapid pace, especially after joining Sundowns. Whereas your Bradley Grobler, for example, because of a lot of injuries and that have affected his career, his rate of scoring has been much slower. He's been at it since, his first goal was scored in 2007. So he's still at it. He's been scoring season after season. I think Grobler holds the record for scoring in many different seasons. That should be something like, 14 maybe. But again, it's worth checking. So as these two approached Nomvethe's record, that's when the question then became, okay, let's really double check this. And then we picked up that, okay, maybe it's not 123, maybe it's 125. Someone else said, maybe it's 128. So there was a bit of confusion there. And that's where we thought, okay, let's reconcile this before going out in public again and talking more about it.
Tell me a little bit about that process. I mean, it doesn't seem like a very long time ago, but the fact that we actually don't have access to stuff from the early 2000s and clear records of that is, I mean, it's tough. I mean, even when you're just trying to do general back checking of something that happened 10 years ago, there's not great stats. So how did you guys go about trying to find this number and reconciling all the goals?
The process that we followed is we've worked a lot with some of these guys that collected stats back in the day. In fact, we work hand in hand. They've provided us some of the numbers, and we in turn chuck these into our system, our database, calculate what we calculate, and send it back to them as well, so they can use in their articles, because most of them are still active journalists up to today.
Yeah. So now we get to the crux of the matter. The number was 123, but now, according to Opta Jabu, the Peter Shalulile is chasing 129. Where did those other 6 goals come from?
So the big question is, where did the other 6 goals come from? So I think the biggest mistake that happens with these records, firstly, let's say when we're counting all-time goal scorers, it's only considering top flight. So you're playing in the PSL's highest level, or you are playing in the major competitions, cup competitions in the PSL.
And when you speak about the PSL, are you talking about only the Betway Premiership, or are you also talking about the National First Division as well?
So only the Betway Premiership, only the Premier Division is counted for these records. That and domestic cups and continental cups as well, those come in. So there is a discrepancy most of the time that happens when there's playoffs, because the PSL is unique in that it has these promotional playoffs where a team that's in the top flight plays a team from the lower division, and they have this mini tournament and they can score goals there. So then the big question was, and this was the biggest discovery when we were chatting, was, okay, what happens when a player who's playing for a top flight team plays in the playoffs and scores in the playoffs? Does that goal count as part of the record? And what happens when a player who is playing for an NFD team, first division team, in the playoffs scores against a top flight team from the Premiership? Do you count that towards their record as well? So there's a discrepancy there. I think Nomvethe had a couple of goals, I think maybe 2 goals that he scored in the playoffs while playing for Swallows, and someone else may have skipped that number and left it out. So that's 2 goals that gets missing along the way. So that explains part of it, not all of the story, but it explains some of it.
So you're also telling me that Bele's goals that he scored in the NFD, because the season he was in the NFD with AmaZulu, was also top goal scorer. So you're saying that none of those goals counted?
So none of those goals counted. So when we doing this all-time list, which is a very good point that you make, you have to have a cutoff. With stats, you must have a cutoff and a standard to say this. If it takes this criteria, we're counting it. Because then even Daniel Mudau, for example, he scored nearly 200 goals for Sundowns. But when we count his total for the PSL era, we have to start 96, 97, and then you see that it only comes to 110. So it's not his true number. It's not his whole career stats. And sometimes people think we are shortchanging him by only counting the 110 and counting only the PSL era. But the truth is, if you go behind the PSL era, then it's much more difficult to have those numbers. Even the record keepers from back then, it's very difficult.
Yeah,
so when we say
similar in the Premier League as well in England, they also have it's like the Barclays Premier League. That's when they start counting stats. They start counting, and it'll be like pre-Premier League. Like you have to have obviously a standard that you have to apply.
Yeah. So even the Premier League, they cut off at 1992 sometimes, or if they go beyond that, they will say it clearly that in Football League history, or they'll say / European Cup and not just the Champions League. So there's all these cutoffs that need to happen. So that's why a lot of these records they're not even a reflection of the player's true ability. It's just a limitation with the statistics, a limitation with record keeping, where we have to draw a line and say, okay, let's start here and stop there. Even Shalulile himself, he scored goals for Highlands Park in the NFD. He scored for Highlands Park in the playoffs, but they were still a NFD team. So I think he has 2 or 3 goals that are not counted in there. He's also, you could say he's on 124 or whatever. But once you draw that line and say only league goals in the top flight, only cup goals in the main competitions, that excludes friendly cup competitions, that includes off-season cup competitions, it excludes invitational tournaments. You may play Tottenham Hotspurs or Manchester United and score, but unfortunately that can't be counted in the records. But CAF is included, CAF Champions League, and CAF AFL also is now included because it happened last season. So we have Shalulile's goals included in that as well.
Okay. So as of today, December 2024, what is Peter Shalulile on, and how many goals does he need to break the record?
So as of today, for December 2024, Shalulile is on 121 goals, 121. And the record that he's chasing is not 123, it's 129. So 129 goals for Siyabonga Nomvethe. And so he needs 8 goals to catch up with that. Whether he could do that this month, he could do that this month. We think he'll do it this season. And by then, at least we'll have calculated exactly how many games it's taken him and all sorts of records. But also, because Bradley Grobler is now back in action as well, he may also come into the fray once again. I don't have his exact number at the moment. I think he's on 10, maybe 115 or so. He's actually quite close.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's great to know. From what I hear, you tell me that obviously Sundown's social media team and Sundowns have obviously reached out to you as well. I think everyone was sort of like, they all want to know when the record will be broken. I'm glad that you guys have come to clear up the whole situation. Has that been universally acknowledged now that 129 is the number?
I think on the Sundown social media, we were at the Business of Football conference in Joburg and met some people from Sundowns and had that chat around that time, even over the phone. I think what is happening is I also had a chat with like Lorenz Kola and Sahil Ibrahim from Transfer Market. They also do statistics. And everyone thought 123 is the target. But because 123 is smaller than 129, and it's not even that far, it's just 6 goal difference, you might as well just wait another couple of months to be 100% sure that the record is broken. Instead of punting now 123 and then having some people doubt it, some people say no, maybe yes, some people saying no. Might as well just wait. It's just another 6 goals, which I think Shalulile should get before the end of the season. At the rate that he scored at, it should take him just a couple more games to get that.
Yeah. No, my former teammate and absolute legend, Peter Nomvethe, will be very happy with the extra 6 goals you've given him. And I'm sure we'll get him on prior to Peter or Brad breaking this record. Man, thank you so much for joining us and for breaking that all down. Hopefully now it's clear to South African football fans that Peter Shalulile and Brad Grobler are now chasing 129 goals. And hopefully we see that record broken by the end of this season. Thank you so
thanks,
much.
Mike.
This will be very insightful for football fans, and hopefully this is a regular feature we can do, because there's so many opportunities here to give South African football fans some insights and some behind the scenes stats that they'll find very interesting.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you to, Mark Listen, been a legend, very helpful. Nick Said, very helpful with this project. We had to meet over coffee and go through some of these discrepancies. So they also wanted the right figure to be out there. At the end of the day, it's not about who's right, Opta right is who's wrong. It's about the game. Everyone wants the right number. It makes everyone more credible if we all have one solid number. And I think 129 is slowly going to be accepted. Thanks to the legends that came before us.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, guys. SoccerBeat fans, please make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so that you're notified every single time we drop a video. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
The Carling Black Label Cup is here to put the power back in your hands. Fagugesi at the Carling Cup on 21 December at Orlando Stadium. Buy a Carling Black Label and vote for your Carling All-Stars. T's and C's apply. South Africa, be sharp. Not for persons under the age of 18.